Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is your ticker guy coming at you from wonderful Niceville, Florida. I want to spend my time with you today talking about two aspects of the hearing on HR 1207. That's the Audit the Fed bill. We're going to go through them. Here's a couple of clips all kind of mishmashed together dealing with the first issue, and that is Section 13.3.
All right, now the Federal Reserve has given $1 trillion out. $1 trillion in the past 12 months. That's how much the increase in its assets and liabilities in the balance sheet has been. Who got the money? This, by the way, is a question sent to me by Beatrice Delgado. She just wants to know who got the money. Will you tell me?
So the most of the increase in our balance sheet has been the purchase of U.S. government securities and the purchase of agency guaranteed securities in the open market from market participants broadly.
Now, folks, I want to make something clear here. 13.3 is certainly important because if institutions were being given so-called loans without any actual valid collateral, that is, it wasn't really a loan, then we got a little bit of a problem here. And certainly Ms. Bachman and Alan Grayson's points in that area are valid. Exactly who has been loaned what on what terms and under what sort of circumstances. This is a question we should have answered. And that's one of the things that the Fed audit will do. But more important to me anyway is the Section 14 purchases that have taken place. You see, Fannie and Freddie have had $1 trillion worth of debt scheduled for purchase. But Fannie and Freddie are not government agencies. They're government-sponsored enterprises. And there is a salient difference in that Fannie and Freddie are not bound by the full faith and credit of the federal government. In fact, on the face of their prospectuses, it explicitly says that there is no full faith and credit guarantee, yet Section 14 appears to require that for all but very short-term credit, things like bankers' acceptances, essentially checks, and debt of duration of less than 1 year in various sectors. So how is it that the Federal Reserve has authority to buy Fannie and Freddie paper? And exactly who did they buy it from? Did this come from Chinese banks? Did it come from German banks? Did it come from American banks? Are they trading trash, that is debt that they have every reason to believe is going to default, for perfectly good treasury certificates? You know, one wonders. Then there's this little piece that I want to point out as well. This is from Mr. Grayson.
The Federal Reserve ever tried to manipulate the U.S. stock market?
No, sir. Not that I'm aware of.
Not that you're aware of, but you're the attorney, right?
That's right.
So you might not even know, right?
I would expect to know if there were something like that being done. I'm not aware of that at all.
I'd like you to tell me whether it's within the Federal Reserve's legal authority to try to manipulate the stock market or the futures market.
So I don't believe the Federal Reserve tries to manipulate the stock market.
Tries? Come on.
No, so...
Do they?
The Federal Reserve's obligation and what it does in monetary policy is try to influence interest rates, and in that way to maximize employment and to stabilize prices.
Now,
sure
if in fact the Federal Reserve
question.
were trying to do that or doing it, isn't that something that we'd want to know?
And the extent that the Federal Reserve influences interest rates, it does make announcements of that decision immediately.
That's not what I said. I said manipulate the stock market or the futures market. Wouldn't we want to know? Yes or no?
Could you define what you mean by...
I think you know what I mean, Mr. Alvarez. Now, wouldn't it be very helpful to have a GAO audit on that subject? Good. Now, there's been all sorts of claims of insider trading and front-running by the people who execute the trades for the Federal Reserve in the market. By the way, who is that? Who actually executes the trades for the Federal Reserve in the markets?
Sure. JPMC.
Go ahead, what?
J.P. Morgan Chase.
Okay. Do you mind if we have a GAO audit to see whether there's been front running or insider trading by them? Do you mind? Is that okay with you?
I'm not sure I have any decision-making authority.
Well, you're the
but
general counsel. I want to know if you're going to try to stop it.
GAO audits government agencies, you want an audit of a private entity. I think that's something that Congress would have to change the authority of the GAO to allow.
All right. Now, let's say, you're right, that's what we're doing right here, by the way.
Mr. Grayson raises an excellent point here about market manipulation. But you know, from my point of view, the big story here isn't whether or not the Federal Reserve is buying index futures and things like this. I've never seen any evidence to directly suggest that. I would like to know if the Federal Reserve is lending against stock portfolios, especially if the lending is being done at kind of interesting haircuts or none at all. That's all part of the audit process, you'd see. We'd find out what's going on there. But more important to me is all the leaks and the insider trading that is going on, because that's already illegal. We don't need new laws for that. We don't need to rewrite regulations. We just need to have the existing ones enforced. Mr. Crudell has uncovered that there was a very suspicious pattern of phone calls and conversations that took place in front of the infamous August discount window cut. A number of parties made an awful lot of money that day. Was it done on the back of insider trading, illegal information? Then there's this chart from not all that long ago. You can find the reference in the link on the ticker. A unexplained 0.75% spike in indexed futures came right in front of the next day another Federal Reserve program change. Unknown to everybody, or was it everybody? There was no other news on the wire that was behind this move, yet somebody made an awful lot of money off of it. Folks, this kind of activity doesn't require new laws. It just requires that the existing ones be enforced. Get on the phone, call your representatives, call your senators. Support HR1207. Get us a full audit of the Federal Reserve and all of their activities. Yeah, I know they don't like it. But let me ask you a question, folks. Has anybody ever bothered trying to hide something if there's nothing damning that would be discovered? Something to think about.